Welcome to Atlantic Business Magazine's Take 5 with the Top 50 series. I am Krista Hand, and I'm the managing partner for Grant Thornton in New Brunswick, and we are a presenting sponsor of the Top 50 CEO Awards. I'm joined today by 2020 Top 50 CEO Award winner, Bill Hennessey. After helping several gaming companies grow exponentially, Bill made a strategic move to real estate, and he's winning. In addition to operating Platinum Atlantic Realty and Colliers International, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Labrador, Bill's responsible for downtown Moncton's exciting 5-5 development, an 8-story complex that's home to Canada's first Hilton Tapestry Collection hotel. Okay, Bill, to say you have a background in the gaming industry doesn't do justice to your experience in that sector. You helped Spielo grow from a 1 million to a 60 million valuation. And your next gaming sector endeavor saw annual sales grow from 6 million to over 100 million. As Senior Director for North America with GTech G2, you launched the first government licensed online poker and casino site in North America. Why and how did you switch to real estate?
Well, Krista, I spent many years in the gaming industry, absolutely loved it. What's unique about the gaming industry, it's truly a worldwide industry. Early stages when I joined Spielo, we were kind of Atlantic Canadian based, kind of a noisy upstart. And in the ensuing years, we were successful in rolling that across Canada, the US, Western Europe, South America, Australia. From then, I moved into another gaming startup, and we had a similar experience. One thing about it being a worldwide industry is you spend a ton of time on airplanes. I had been spending anywhere from 130, 140 nights a year. You know, at the time I had 2 boys. One, this was around 2003, so one was about 8, another about 5. So I was looking to do something that, quite simply would get me out of an airplane and allow me to spend more time at home during those kind of formative years. I started looking around and started to see what was happening in Greater Moncton in the real estate space. Decided to kind of make a first foray with the construction of a multi-unit residential building. And then I really started to get my eyes into the downtown core, and with a partner started to look seriously at 5-5. As we got into the meat of planning it out, I met with several brokerage companies, real estate brokerage companies, to try to find a service provider that I felt met our needs. And it's like many times you find one good in everyone, but you don't find everything you need in everyone. So I did what we typically do here in Atlantic Canada. I couldn't find it, so I built it. So we, with that kind of mission in mind, I operated on a thesis that said, if I have this issue, maybe there's others. And we built a boutique real estate firm. I think we maybe around 2013. And kind of kicked it off with a view to making our mark in the space.
Real estate sales are a very traditional industry, and you have a reputation for being an innovator. So what have you done, or what are you doing that would be considered innovative or groundbreaking in your space now?
Krista, I think when I got into the real estate space and started to look around, having come from the gaming side, I had a tremendous exposure to emerging tech and how it could kind of work kind of hand in glove with, in this case, the consumer experience. When I looked at the real estate space, I saw an opportunity to bring in tech and try to create a competitive advantage for a firm that wasn't, our mission statement out of the gate was we were the anti-real estate company. I hired the first technical person before I hired a bookkeeper or a receptionist or admin support in any way, shape, or form, because I saw a great opportunity to leverage the tech world and the real estate world. By way of example, there was a company out of California called Matterport. We located the technology. At the time, they weren't distributing it in Canada. I couldn't buy it in Canada. So I found, the internet is wonderful. I found a service provider out of Florida that would buy the technology for me, and they specialized in bringing it into Canada. So I paid my duties and the like, and we set up the first Matterport technology, which was industry leading. And if you look around today, it's almost become table stakes, but now it's been 5 years later. At a kind of second thought, when we launched 5.5, the condo market in Moncton was a challenging space. There had been some projects, many of them hadn't done very well. So I said to my partner, if we do a fantastic job in convincing somebody we're moving them from a -10 to a 0. The way around that to get people over that emotional hump, if you will, I was walking through a shopping mall in Toronto one time and popped into a Microsoft store and saw a piece of tech called HTC Vive, which all the kids were raving about because it was a gaming machine. And I started wondering, I said to the guy doing the demos, I said, can I try this, but I don't want to shoot any zombies. What I'd like to do is to try to build something. I said, do you have any apps, if you will? I didn't even know if I was using the right words, but do you have anything for building? Within 30 seconds, I had constructed a house. I had rain falling on it. I was spinning the house around. I caught it on fire. I took it off, and the gentleman looked at me, and he could tell. He goes, welcome back, because I got totally into my little 2-minute, and sight unseen, there on the spot, I bought everything I needed, and lugged it all back to Moncton and worked with my tech folks here. And we took the entire 5.5 building, all of the different condominium units, we rendered them in virtual reality. And as part of the experience of debating, considering, you put on a headset, and it's a little, I put it a little like buying clothing, you got to try it on. And when people got to experience it in true VR, then they got to appreciate what the, how, of course I'm biased, I think it's a wonderful property, but they got to get a bit of a taste of that while we still had a parking lot to look at physically. So it was those kind of examples of leveraging tech in a traditional space that really started to kind of get us moving and get us separated, as I said, from being the anti-real estate company as opposed to a typical real estate company.
Your leadership philosophy is that people don't work for you, they work with you. If a workplace is truly collegial, does leadership become unnecessary or superfluous?
Krista, I think fundamentally leadership is key. I'm a big fan. I found through my own experience, effective leadership when you're working towards a common goal. If an outsider were to walk into a room where brainstorming was happening or the like, the leader shouldn't be obvious. The leader should be very much part of the team. So I don't know if it's my Newfoundland upbringing or what have you, but there's no big ears. The idea is to lead by example, and that could be hard work. One of my favorite ways to lead is through risk. So do not be concerned. I have rewarded risks that resulted in failure as much as I've acknowledged risks that has resulted in success, because I truly believe that. And if I've had good experiences with teams. We've created environments where we've been able to get, whether it's early days with Spilo and in our current roles here with Collier's Platinum and 5.5, we've been able to get our team to kind of step up and out of their expectations, if they will, and allow them to kind of achieve things that perhaps on their own they may not have thought that they would have been able to achieve. Not everybody's fit. I use the expression, it's hot in the kitchen. But if you like the heat, you're really going to enjoy it. It's not for everyone, but if you create, I'm confident, a good leadership environment. So your question as to whether it's superfluous, I would say it's always necessary, because when things get rocky, you need somebody to the team needs somebody to turn to, and in those times there, when you demonstrate leadership, demonstrate ability to help support. To take the shot if you have to, in order for the good of the whole. I've always operated like that. I don't know any other way. It's not something that I was ever taught. I just kind of found, maybe it's, again, my Newfoundland upbringing, the simplest way to success is to work well with others. And in doing so, we've been fortunate over the years to have had some good success.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing your industry, and what are you planning to do about it?
Well, there's the challenges facing the real estate industry. Of course, the elephant in everybody's room in the last 12 months. We're currently in a situation there's tremendous uncertainty. And uncertainty, you respond to with hesitation in terms of decision making. and the like. So, and one of the realities of our business community is everybody has an address. So by default, you're in a situation as a business owner where you're either a landlord, you're a tenant, you're owner occupied, but there's a portion of your value that's vested in real estate. And you're in a situation in the last 12 months where you have to decide, do I upsize, downsize? Should I, become a tenant and sell my property and take some equity out and the like? So from a challenge point of view, that's what I see to be the biggest, is the current uncertainty. The next obvious question is, how do you deal with that? What I've found is in turbulent times like these, I'm a bit of a data geek. I go back and dig through the numbers. I want to see what's really happening. I'm not a fan of reading the headlines and kind of getting emotional based on what I hear of the headlines. We had a great example recently in December 2020. There was an announcement that Moncton's office vacancy rate had jumped from 7.5% to 12.5%. So, effectively the sky was falling. Tenants were feeling a bit emboldened to ask for lower rates. Landlords were getting nervous. Banks were getting nervous. Our team sat and dug through the data, and the net result is we extracted a few kind of abnormalities in the data that had happened in the past 12 months that had absolutely nothing to do with COVID, and turned out the change in the vacancy rate was 0.5%. So in reality, there was nothing to see here. But the uncertainty gets escalated emotionally, and in those times, I like to dig through the data. I like to understand what's really happening, make some observations based on that, and then whether it's internally here at our organization or we provide a fair bit of counsel on the real estate side to our clients, we like to sit and talk about what's happening and then discuss what the lowest risk moves are going forward. But we're doing it from a foundation of bricks and mortar, as opposed to reading, All Nova Scotian or the Times and Transcript or the like. So that's from a challenge point of view, that's what I see as the uncertainty. And from a managing it point of view, let's go chain ourselves to the data and figuring out what that tells us. And I'm very confident that doing that, we're going to be right more than wrong.
Growth has been a trademark of your career, Bill. Why is it so important to grow? And how do you manage a growth agenda so effectively?
When it comes to growth, I think as we learn, as we evolve ourselves, growth is kind of an eight-part. I originally started with a government organization called Atlantic Lottery, of course, based in Moncton. And whether it was then or the various gaming companies or the current capacity, growth does not mean you take and blow the doors off the numbers from a revenue point of view. Growth starts very small and very deliberate. So I've always looked at the things that we are doing. So how can we do them better? Are they necessary? I have a really bad habit of questioning the obvious on many fronts with a view to trying to improve efficiencies, improve effectiveness, and improve the service we provide our clients. So from that micro level, if you start to do that and do it well, you'll start to see the effects of growth from a revenue point of view. You're going to build better relationships with clients. You're going to be exposed to opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise. But when I look at, and then when we got in after I built a multi-unit residential property, and then of course with 5.5, I kind of looked at actually growing a physical structure and went, wow, this is fun. This is cool. So I do think that innately, I'm much more of a builder, whether it's changing or construction or the like. I'm more of a builder or growing revenues and adding personnel than I am necessarily an operator. I seem to have evolved in my career that when something was at the kind of operating phase for the foreseeable future, I didn't set out with a master plan, but I kind of very almost subconsciously gravitated to the next opportunity where we could get in and roll up our sleeves and try to build and grow. And you look at where we are today in 2021 and our business. In the middle of the pandemic, while everybody was running one way, I opened up an office in St. John's, Newfoundland in May of 2020. I've only been able to get there once since we've opened up the office because of the restrictions. But I've looked at it and said, these are turbulent times, but that doesn't mean that we all got to sit on our hands and ride it out. I tend to think that growth can continue, and uncertainty creates change, and change creates opportunity. So I think in general, I naturally gravitate towards situations where there's an opportunity to grow. And I found from a kind of a skill set and comfort level, that's where I'm most at home.